I have no clue, Monty. I have absolutely no idea where Val is, so... Hey. You get a double dipping of me. And yeah, this is a test of concept stream, so to speak. Hopefully audio is fine. Stream looks like it's fine. Yeah, I wanted to test, like, I guess a more casual, relaxing kind of format to the live stream. And this is Assetto Corsa, a driving simulator. How's the mix of music to engine sounds? Good. So how have you been doing, Monty? Now that's a mood, Monty. My sleep schedule's been getting pretty bad recently as well. I mean, look, I'm streaming at midnight, so hey. Yeah, and hey ho. I mean, this is a Supra, but it doesn't have an aggressive turbo or anything, so no silly over-the-top noises from this car. Driving firmly above the speed limit and listening to some chill music. Well, I suppose fitting music's not always chill. Yeah, the aim of like this stream and this idea is that it's, I guess, more of like just a chill, relaxing thing for you guys to listen to and enjoy. Watching me drive around in a more relaxed way. I mean, still fast, but not exactly trying to do anything special. Whilst you listen to some nice music and we talk. So I just think it's a nice, chill way to interact. As for me personally, I've always found that driving helps me relax, and just being in a moving vehicle, seeing the world flash by, it's just a very calming and relaxing thing. And yeah, well, I've got to please the algorithm, right? Varak's not streaming, and I just really enjoy doing this with you guys, just hanging out, talking, playing games, painting, whatever it is. It's just really nice to spend time with you guys. And also, you lot are being very patient with me and very supportive. Especially, it's like I've been playing BattleTech games. I'm currently driving a car in Japan listening to synthwave music, and you're still here. And, I find that amazing, honestly, and just really nice. And yeah, don't worry, this is going to be a very long drive. We're probably going to run out of fuel before we actually finish exploring this map, by the way. So I only put half a tank of fuel in. It is meant to be raining as well, so I was trying to go for that calming aspect, but for rain, despite the fact I set for a high probability of it raining, it doesn't look like it wants to. So, stuck with just an overcast midnight sky. I prefer more realistic driving simulations such as Burnout. You can't really argue with that one. Burnout Paradise is a highly, highly realistic game. And how are you doing, Hamish? Had a good evening? Oh, it's a tunnel. It's kind of just a light to rev up, isn't it? I'm really looking forward to seeing the progress you make on your Titan. And anything to stop Popeye's Legio is always welcome. Yeah, no, exactly, Voice of the Emperor. I've done 2 streams today. 2 evening streams. Well, 1 evening stream, then had a dinner and stuff. Did some stuff, and I come back and I'm streaming again. Someone has to care for people, right? I'm even driving an Imperial Fist yellow car. I always drive yellow cars, but still, you know. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. And just out of interest, how long did it take for them to start shipping the Titan, by the way? Like, how many days after? Huh, just realised the YouTuber I watch has this music as their outro, but I can't work out who it is. I think it's a Star Wars YouTube. Yeah. You prefer Ultramarines blue. Yeah, but that kind of implies it's going to be a Subaru. And I really don't like Subarus. Yeah, I figured it'd take a while, because yeah, I still haven't had notifications being shipped out yet. And yeah, I'd figured it would be. And yeah, on a quick note about the game. For anyone wondering, this game is called Assetto Corsa. It's a driving simulator which has incredible mod support. And some incredible people have made this map, which is a one-to-one replica of most of the major roads that make up the transit system of Tokyo. And I just think it's an incredible drive and adventure. Basically any car, but I feel like it's just appropriate to drive a Japanese icon like the Supra around it. I might drop them an email then, just to make sure. Yeah, no, that's what I was wondering. There's I know it's a YouTube. Shit, yeah, it's Arbiter Ian. Yes, that's it. It's Arbiter Ian's music. I was thinking, who? Well, I'm glad glad one of us worked it out. But yeah, no, yeah, it is. That's been annoying me for the last couple of minutes trying to work out whose it was. So I thought it was a Star Wars YouTuber who was using it, but no, it's Arbiter Ian. You're right. Yeah, for those curious, I'm also driving with a full forced feedback steering wheel with proper pedals and a gear stick as well. I'm driving manual. I think my microphone's doing a good enough job of blocking out the noise of the forced feedback motors in the wheel. Is streaming while driving legal? Well, I suppose technically yes. As long as I'm not, on a mobile phone, right? That's how it works, I think. The only issue with driving and streaming is you have to have a constant broadband connection. Kind of shame the clock in the car is in the position where it's in, because I have set it to the correct time for us anyway. What was that movie with the Stranger Things guy who live streamed him murdering people? I have no clue, Byron. Also welcome. Oh, there's a low fuel indicator. I said we'd run out of fuel before we explored the map. I didn't really think this through. What I'm hoping is we can get to one of the spawning points, because you can refuel at them. Is break the immersion a little bit. Just turn on the map. Not quite. It's that would be quite realistic, but no, unfortunately this game doesn't quite simulate the driving experience that fully. No, I should probably be a bit more conservative and not drive in such high revs. That would probably help. Well, I'm not gonna kill you guys, so don't worry about that. I might scam you for your money, because I mean, at the end of the day, someone's gonna have to pay for the fuel, right? But yeah, I won't kill you guys, don't worry about that. That would be a very Varrock thing to do, wouldn't it? It'd just stop at the gas station and refuse to move until someone pays for the fuel. I'm using a wheel and pedals and shifter because this is a manual. Please tell me I can actually turn off here onto Daishi and it's not just on the other side. It's on the other side. Okay. No, Hamish, no, it would be like... Nah, not to get too political, not to talk about real life too much, but fuel prices are really expensive at the moment, so I'm going to need you to donate 10 members in order for me to refuel the car. Thanks for subscribing, Voice of the Emperor. So why hasn't the turtle out the... It does seem like the stream called bot has died. I'm just announcing that I'm streaming. I didn't check. Oh boy. Oh, they're still around, Byron. I mean, I have one of those force feedback wheels you can clip to your desk, and I have a Secret Labs gaming chair, which is basically shaped like a racing seat anyway. Do I really have to manually? The meters? Come on. And I'm really stuck on a curb. Do I have to park? Is that really what it's asking me to do right now? There we go. Close enough. So some wheels down while local couriers when I nosed around today. Yeah, so I'm using a Logitech G920, which is the PlayStation version of the steering wheel because it has more buttons than the Xbox version, but still fully compatible with a computer. Oh, that's the point. I'm pitted. I can, reshield myself. Hold on a second. Now a full fuel tank, so I might actually be able to explore a bit more. Now I've done that, we can turn the mini-map off and go back to full immersion mode. Ooh, this song's quite energetic, isn't it? It's a good thing I covered for the Warhammer news earlier, wasn't it? Yeah, I'm still in shock that Adeptus Titanicus is actually getting new stuff. I was very, very convinced it was a dead game at this point and that they were just going to move on to Epic. I mean, I could have just, you know, turned off fuel consumption. That is something I could have done, but I decided it was a bit more fun to have that whole level of realism of at least having to go and park up to refuel and stuff. Also, what do you guys think of the graphical quality of this game and this map, by the way? The environment's nice, but the inside could have been dialed up a bit. Yeah. I think that's fair. Now I am doing something illegal, but I need to check something, so just quickly looking up something on my phone. Cool. Texting and driving is not a good idea. But yeah, I'm curious about something. And hey, I didn't break the game, so I'll count that as a win. Okay, right, so the game is 8 years old, by the way. Now to your question, Byron. What do I think of the Ash Waste? I'm disappointed by it, not necessarily because of what it is, because they're keeping very faithful and accurate to what the Ash Wastes was. Well, it's meant to be somewhere between gang fighting and Mad Max, with ways to play only vehicles and ways to add vehicles into your gangs. So I think they've done a relatively good job with that. But the only issue is with the lackluster pasting, right? If you want to play as what they call the Ash Waste Nomads, great, you got your fleas. If you want to play as the Orlocks, great. If you want to play as the Goliaths, we're waiting for those to be released, but they've been announced. And same with the Ashes. Yeah, but what about House Delac, the Outcasts, House Vansar? There's a bunch of guys who haven't got their stuff yet, and I feel quite annoyed by that, because how are you meant to play the game properly if you can't, play properly? There's not the physical units or the ability to actually field your units because they don't exist yet. And what if you are a the only Orlok player in your area, and no one happens to play Goliath or Ash Waste Nomads, how are you meant to play the Ash Wastes then? Because there's no one around who has any Ash Waste stuff. There's no point for you to play, and that's the main frustration for me. It's like even the brand new gang, the Squat Prospectors, what units do they have? There's nothing for those guys. Yeah, hey Doyle. And hey Sorian, how you guys doing? Oh yeah, just I don't really feel tired yet, and just wanted to do something nice to relax, so and I'm glad you feel like you wanted to come back for more, Sorian. That makes me really happy. So yeah, what we're doing is I'm driving around Tokyo at night, listening to some synthwave whilst talking with you guys. And yeah, I am doing good. And I hope everyone else is in chat as well. Oh yeah, at the moment we're just talking about the Ash Wastes for Necromunda, as Byron had a question about it. But yeah, overall I'm quite disappointed by the Ash Waste simply because the release scheduling has effectively killed it. It's a real shame because I really enjoy Necromunda, and the Ash Waste was one of my favourite things about the original Necromunda. And yeah, I just don't have the opportunity to enjoy or play it because my gang doesn't have anything, and neither does any of the gangs which my friends play. So I'm in a situation where I can't actually play the Ash Wastes. You know, we'll go up here this time. Yeah, and I suppose that's another thing, right? So there's two ways around it, I think. Firstly is, yeah, just it's a mystery and it's like that because you want it to be like that, even though it doesn't necessarily make a huge amount of sense. I did think about it a lot more after the stream, and oh, okay, what if they do worship the Emperor like God? And maybe one of the Primarchs as Jesus, or the equivalent of Jesus, and they just happen to go about worshipping in a very Baptist way. That could be a way about it as well. I know it doesn't necessarily work with the whole renegade thing, but if their method of faith is sufficiently different from the ecclesiarchy's methods of worship and praise, then they would be, in the actual definition, heretics. Right, for worshipping wrong. So that could be an angle you take it in. So jump over, we want to stay on this side again. There's some smaller roads over here that we need to explore. bit faster. I do really like how incredibly blinding the tunnels are in this game compared to how dark the rest of the area is. I forgot this corner was here, but we made it, which is the important thing. God. Okay, trying to read the chat whilst going through more complex areas is not a good idea. So we take a dark turn of religion when making Van Marines. Okay. Oh, we're down this area of the map. Okay. Oh wait, hang on, we're in a built up. To drive really on the rev, don't we, to be really obnoxious down at street level. It can do. I've disabled it as just trying to survive is not really a thing I want to worry about. Is, you know, yeah, it can be a thing. I just don't have it on. Yeah, if I get distracted by chat and wreck the car, that's not too helpful. I'm fairly sure up to the left there is still a dead end, and I'm not really going to risk trying to go up there. But I suppose I could turn on the map for a little while whilst you try and work out what additional areas there are to explore. I do find it interesting how 40k has this whatever attitude, like it's just books for models like Hasbro did for toys, but also can have a lot of depth sometimes. How do you mean? And sorry, and do you, it sounds like we go through similar trials to a Space Wolves? So like, I guess I'd need greater context. Oh yeah, we forgot to do a homebrew channel. Yeah, some of the Horus Heresy books are amazing. Especially the first three. The first three is probably my favourite, like, I guess, trilogy. No, we already went down once, didn't we? Let's go up and over this time. The name for this song in particular, well, what I'll do is, it's called 50 Million Year Trip. That's just I know it's not necessarily the most realistic thing in the world, but there you go. Yeah. It has to be one of the best I've read so far, plus Last Church as far as short stories go. Yeah, they're all good choices. Yeah, no worries, Doyle. I basically stole this playlist from a friend of mine who also streams. So I feel like it's only fair to share it around, especially as it is copyright-free music, so we're allowed to use it on streams and in videos, which is also why Arbitrarian's outro music and intro music's part of this playlist as well. Well, okay, we're going this way. It sounds like there's another video going on in the background. Hold on a second. That was weird. Yeah, I really enjoyed Betrayer. See, I don't know about Argul, Tal, and Khan. It's like, yes, it's a great bromance, but I still feel like there's a bit more of a spark between Lucius and Tarvitz. What do you want me to say? I prefer Togadon and Loken's bromance, or? No, they definitely had a good connection. Tal and Khan. And yeah, it is important to their characters. But yeah. We are going to go up that route, because it looks like on the map there is a way up there. And I do want to see what that's like. Oh yeah, that's the thing that's so interesting about the Angron Lorgar and Argiltar and Khan, because it's basically the two captains mirroring their Primarch's relationships. However, because Erebus has that kind of power and authority, he's able to get away with murdering Argiltar. And it's really interesting to see the different dynamics and influences there that Erebus has for those two in those two situations. Yeah, Erebus foresaw and knew the path that Khan was going down and the role Khan needed to play, and he understood that killing one of his own, killing Argiltar, would help in that. How bad could Death Corps be against a space? Against Space Marine, should be a piece of cake, right? Yeah, if we're talking equal forces, then yeah, the Death Corps Krieg stand no chance against Space Marines. No matter how much hype and how many haha shovel memes there are. There is a reason Space Marines exist, and that is because the Imperial Guard can't do everything in a conflict. And the rapid assault and supreme firepower and tactical capabilities of the Space Marines are needed for situations where the Guard can't function. And you have to remember that the Imperial Guard, for the most part in the 40k timeline, fight against equivalent forces to the Imperial Guard. But they have a gunship transport and way more tanks. The Space Marines have lots of gunships, they're Space Marines. What's my tactical shovel? Do I? So in the 40k universe, the most common threats to in a regular game as well, yeah, Space Marines have access to lots of aircraft. I did notice something a second. Wait, we're just gonna quickly turn around. Oh, that was awkward. I keep forgetting the Supra doesn't actually have that much power inherently. Did I notice that correctly? But oh, it's blocked off. Never mind. And in a game of 40k right now, Imperial Guards suck. So yeah, I wouldn't worry too much. But yeah, back to the lore thing a second. The most common threats that the Imperial Guard usually have to deal with is effectively other guards from rebelling worlds or worlds which failed to pay the tithe and started fighting back against the Imperium, Chaos cultists, and then orcs. That's about... Those are like probably the top three main threats the Imperial Guard has to deal with across the entire galaxy. Obviously in certain areas of the galaxy it'll be slightly different, so if it's on the eastern fringe it'll be largely Tyranids. And then obviously along the Cicatrix Maledictum there'll be demons, chaos forces and stuff as well. So yeah, Space Marines are designed to fill the role and function of forces designed to break the battles in which the Imperial Guard can't win. And you have to remember that the way that the Imperial Guard are meant to fight and designed to fight is a lot like World War I trench fighting. Like, that's kind of a standard way the Imperium fights, because its main resource, the single largest resource humanity has, is humans. So they go for combat tactics and fighting methods which focus on minimal resource losses, but at the cost of human lives. As there are an innumerably large amount of people in the Imperium. There's always going to be more people to throw onto the front lines. However, resources are relatively limited, especially with how crippled the Mechanicus still is after the Horus Heresy, even 10,000 years later. And what would be better to break a trench warfare battle than a group of highly skilled, highly elite warriors in armor which is effectively bulletproof, equipped with weapons that fire high explosive ammunition, so bolt guns do, against in trenches and fortifications. It's also why there's still lots of World War I stylized vehicles in the Imperium as well, like the Lehman Russ battle tank, and even in the Space Marines stuff like the Land Raider, designed like World War I tanks, because they still fight in that style. They're still fighting across trenches, which is why Lehman Russ battle tanks and Land Raiders focus on having sponsons, because that's the kind of conflict they're suited for. And the whole point of sponsons is you drive your tank on top of the trench and shoot down the length of it. If you didn't know, that's what sponsons are for. So you sit on the trench, point the flamethrowers down the trench, and shoot down the length of it. You think of how many humans must have died. You'd think there would have been an infinite supply of servo skulls. The Imperium should slap guns on those bad boys and start a second crusade. Yeah, but there's still a lot of technology and resources that goes into servo skulls. And to an extent, a servo skull is more important than a human. But to go around collecting skulls might attract unwanted attention from the Inquisition, Ecclesiarchy, and Khorne. So, best not. Well, effectively, think of it purely from like a logistical point of view, right? A servo skull has a near unlimited lifespan and is able to constantly do its designed role and function for that entire span to a very consistent level, which is something you cannot say of humans. And constants are the most important when it comes to logistics and organization, right? So yes, in a sense, a servo skull is more useful than a human. What does a servo skull actually do? Good question. Basically anything you can get something as small as a skull to do, basically. They can be used for surveillance and data collection. A lot of the times when you see a servo skull hanging around with a human, it is normally recording and logging any information present, audio and visual. That's also why you'll see in some of the older artwork that some servo skulls are actually writing scrolls. They're physically writing down what they are hearing, which is kind of cool. But yeah, it could also be used for lighter tasks, like assisting with mechanical work. I believe some have been used as translators as well. Yeah, the entire skull throne is actually made out of servo skulls, so he can fly around on his chair like one of the Slan priests from Warhammer Fantasy. Girls for the hover throne. Iron Warriors are very cool. They were my first 40k love. Just because, you know, tanks and artillery. Also, for those who actually watched Chapter Master Varak's stream, I was to use his incorrect terminology, deadly serious about challenging him to a siege battle in Medieval 2 Total War. As of yet, I am still yet to lose a multiplayer siege battle in Total War games. And I've even put this to a test against Total War content creators, you know, people who actually partnered with Total War, such as Lionheart and Jackie Fish. So yeah, I really do want to actually corner him and get him into a siege battle in Medieval 2. God, don't say Forza Tuppy. That kind of implies you're going to simp for me like the lady. Yeah, I do really want to play against Avarak in Medieval 2. Well, yeah, of course, like our Game of Horus Heresy. Yeah. It's one of the things I found really funny about the Heresy channel and their tier list of legions, putting the Emperor's Children below average and the Imperial Fists above average. And I still annihilated Varak. Yeah, okay, we'll go up here. Was Fulgrim taken out before you get infantry? Kind of. I mean, Varak just kept throwing weaker units at Fulgrim to kind of slow him down whilst he whilst he made Dawn run away from Fulgrim because he was scared that he was going to lose Dawn in close combat to Fulgrim. But yes, Fulgrim shreds weaker infantry, and yeah, I love Varak. He's a very good friend of mine, and someone I will always support and enjoy the company of. And yeah, even though I am now doing my own thing, well, trying to do my own thing, I will always be incredibly supportive of Varak, as much shit as he gives me and how much shit I give him. We all know in our hearts that there was a power cut, Varak would claim me one by default. Oh yeah, of course. How could the Chapter Master fall? And yeah, Fulgrim is a beast. He wounds everyone on a 2. His sword is AP 2. And yeah, one of his special rules is he gains an additional amount of attacks equal to the initiative difference between himself and his enemy. But also, whilst in a charge, he challenge. On the charge he gains +1 initiative, and in a challenge he gains +1 initiative, making him initiative 9 in a challenge. And weapon skill 9 as well. And remember, he has 6 attacks default, I think. And for every attack initiative higher he is than the enemy, he gains an additional attack. So against a regular Primarch, he has 9 attacks. Oh, and for 2+ is rerollable as well. Now, it's not quite clear if the wording is correct, but it seems to be initiative in the challenge, which implies that you take the initiative value of the model you're fighting at their current state. So what if they have a Power Fist or a Thunder Hammer or a Power Axe, and which drops them down to initiative 2? Does that still apply? As in 1st edition it did. And Fulgrim was the only reason why you'd actually run Emperor's Children, because Emperor's Children sucked massively in 1st edition Heresy. But Fulgrim was terrifying. So yeah, in a Primarch fight, unless you cheese it, Fulgrim will almost always win a Primarch fight. There are ways for you to not be instantly ruined by Fulgrim, but it's very difficult. There is a very cheesy strategy which I think only Dawn can pull off, which is you just refuse the challenge. Unless you have a rule that says you have to accept it, all you do is refuse the challenge and tank the hits, because Fulgrim's extra attack and extra initiative and stuff doesn't get triggered unless he's in a challenge. So what you need to do is just survive a turn of him hitting you with his regular profile, and then you hit him back next turn. I mean, granted that means you have to be hit by him twice with basically every Primarch. But if you can mathematically survive that, you're more likely to actually win a fight if you can tank 2 rounds of hits from him on his base profile than if you challenge him or accept his challenge. Yeah, Vulcan and Mortarion can probably pull off the don't fight Fulgrim in a duel strategy off, and it would probably be quite fitting for both of them. Dawn used sneaky strategy to hide behind a fortifications made of the walls of his sons. Yeah. And unfortunately, all of his sons died, and because they all died, the Imperial Fists during that game did actually lose, because the objective was to have, well, you got 7 victory points for controlling your opponent's deployment zone. And unfortunately, by me killing the Cataphracti, the Contemptor, the Tactical Marines, and Special Weapons Squad he threw at Fulgrim, I ended up having more units in their deployment zone than they did, because we'd also baited out a majority of the Imperial Fists out of their deployment zone and into No Man's Land in an attempt to stop us trying to capture No Man's Land. So we scored victory points for controlling their deployment zone and our own, as well as killing a majority of the units. And yeah, so we won on victory points by a significant margin because we managed to, well, outplay them, bait them, trap them, and then slaughter them out in the open. As they just assumed it would be a matter of whoever won the middle of the table battle, so they didn't really put too much in reserves to protect their deployment zone. And what they did leave in their deployment zone, I then annihilated with Fulgrim, Palatine Blades, and Cataphracti Terminators inside a Spartan. Yeah, so his excuse and his way of trying to explain away what his actions was, the Imperial Fist Praetor desperately needed help in close combat against a Blood Angel Sergeant and Tactical Marine. So Rogal Dawn happened to be moving away from Fulgrim as far as he could, in order to go and assist the Praetor against those 2 Blood Angels. because the largest and most significant threat happened to be behind him in the form of, well, the elite of the Emperor's children. We also did mess up that game, and Rogel Dawn should have already died at that point as well, by the way. Because he would have been murdered by a Blood Angel Contemptor Dreadnought. We just completely forgot about the brutal rule on the Contemptor's fists. So instead of taking 2 wounds, he should have taken 6 wounds, which would have put him on 0 health. What did I take in my list for that match? I took Fulgrim, a Praetor. No, did I take? No, I didn't take a Praetor. I took a Consul, Phoenix Warden, the special one for the Emperor's children. Palatine Blades. 3 squads of Tactical Marines, Spartan Cataphracti with Power Fists, a Contemptor, and the Sun Killers. There's probably also an old woman that needed to cross the street that needs Dawn's assistance. Oh, yeah, obviously, so he can claim a moral victory. Yeah. Me and Filthy Green Name thoroughly outplayed the Imperial Fists. Which was, yeah, again, Varak, Alex from the Horus Hour podcast, and my partner. And yeah, and those 3 lost to us too, so... I mean, it was equal on points, I should say, even though it was a 3v2. Yeah, I was just using models I had at the time, and I still don't actually have an Eidolon model. I really need to buy one, but yeah, it's kind of difficult to justify the cost of him at the moment. And it's 3 squads of 10. Just so I'd have more troops to cover the area with. As basically how I play is I have the line standard infantry to try and hold objectives, as long as I have at least 3 or 4 units. In a game where we've got objectives, I am likely to be able to control a majority, if not equal amount of the objectives on the board. And then I focus on stuff designed around killing as much as possible. But yeah, if someone wants to buy me Eidolon, don't, then yeah, I would have Eidolon. But he is on the shopping list. Although I've recently proxied and put together a model to count as Lucius whilst we wait for his model to be released, because he is my favourite character on the tabletop at the moment who isn't a Primarch. Mostly because, well, he can fight Primarchs quite effectively. Because he's weapon skill 7, he can take the Blade of Valir, which means he's wounding on 2s against everyone. And it's AP 2 as well. And he can have instant death, and he has a silly amount of attacks, because like Fulgrim, he also gains an extra attack based off initiative. How it's only 1. 1 attack, and he does gain a weapon skill as well in a challenge, which puts him up to weapon skill 8, meaning he does stand equal or better than most Primarchs in close combat. And whilst instant death doesn't work, he's still going to be getting off a number of attacks at the weapon skill advantage, wounding on 2s, at initiative 2 against whoever he's fighting. And that just cannot be ignored or overlooked. And yeah, things are very expensive at the moment, especially if you look at Forge World models. Yeah, Death Guard are an interesting one because what you really want to be doing is, yeah, again, just running lots and lots of heavy weapon squads is the main thing. So you're buying Mark 6 Marines and you're buying a heavy weapons box, although I think most of the heavy weapons that would really suit the Death Guard aren't available yet. Yeah, and Grave Warden's Death Shroud are very good. Wait, the Death Guard don't have any Legion-specific dreadnoughts? I'm surprised. I thought they did have at least a Contemptor. Oh fuck, I wanted to take that turning. Oh well. Guess we're not. Yeah? Yeah, I feel like we underslung and overshoulder suit different weapons. Like, I think an overshoulder las cannon just looks so much cooler. And to be honest, the same with auto cannons as well. I feel like the longer the barrel, the more important and relevant it looks. And I guess just simply because of realism, I prefer missile launchers shoulder mounted, but I do quite like the underslung ones. For the focus on anti-infantry. And yeah, it's like their entire thing is they don't even paint their armor other than to put the basic iconography for identification on. Which somehow morphed into them having cream armor at some point, which I don't really understand, but hey. It's one of the reasons why I do want to do a Death Guard army, because I want to explore that, the Black Library description of them, more than the traditional painting them bone white cream kind of look that you see a lot of them in. That's the point. Maybe as they skipped around the order, maybe we'll actually see the Death Guard Praetors or Praetor this week. I was getting a bit slippery. So something I've kind of noticed with Warhammer Fantasy and Horus Heresy is overall, whilst I do play up my biases towards certain factions, there's not a singular faction I absolutely dislike and cannot enjoy in Fantasy or the Heresy. I really enjoy at least elements or enough to actually start an army for basically every force. Except for Space Wolves, of course, because Space Wolves are smelly. But, yeah. Okay, fine. You got me there, Sisters. Silence. See, I can work around that because they're part of the Talons of the Emperor. And whilst I don't particularly enjoy Custodes, I would be happy collecting a Custodes force. I just don't need to include any Sisters of Silence. The problem with the Raven Guard is their story is entirely meh, with only certain standout characters just being unlikable. Say Raven Guard's story during the Heresy is basically just, oh, we got fucked on Istvan 5 and we never recovered. That's about it, really. Like, yes, there's more interesting things like the Raptor project, which is basically just Korax being told how to make Primaris Space Marines, and that being sabotaged by the Alpha Legion. But again, the most interesting part of that is not the Raven Guard, it's the fact that the Alpha Legion successfully infiltrated the Raven Guard in order to steal those plans and sabotage the Raven Guard. That's the more interesting aspect to that story. And the only real standout character I can think of which has ever done anything remotely interesting for a Raven Guard is Nikona Sharokin, which is quite possibly one of the most overpowered Mary Sue self-insert Deus Ex Machina style characters I've ever witnessed in a book. And his sheer volumes of plot armor and or plot convenience bullshit powers result in situations which make the entirety of the Orphans of War, the guys on board the Sisypheum, look incredibly stupid in comparison, incredibly incompetent and just weird. And Nikona Sharokin's entire existence just torpedoes any interest I could possibly have in the Orphans of War. Oh boy. Too caught up in my impassioned rant about Nikona. To be honest, I can't remember if they discovered the Alpha Legion. Yeah, it's like my last 8th, 9th edition army was a Raven Guard successor force. Well, so let's recap what Nikona Sharokin has achieved. He shot Fulgrim on Istvan 5. He shot Fulgrim in the amphitheater. He, in quotes, killed Lucius. He was able to identify and work out who Alfarius was during a game of Among Us. During a story. And was able to successfully shoot at Alfarius. He was then specifically allowed to survive his encounter with Alfarius because Magnus said so? What? It's stupid. It's really fucking stupid. How does that make any sense? And for one thing, but actually above all of that annoys me more, is somehow, it's like also just his sheer arrogance. He was offered to have a pair of power swords crafted for him by a medic and a forge father of the Salamanders. A forge smith of the Salamanders offered to make him a pair of power swords, and he said, no, I'll do it myself, and then went on to make, I'm fairly sure it's directly quoted as being 1,000 times folded steeled power like katana weapons, which for some reason were black. Just so incredibly edgy, and so over the top and ridiculous, and so unnecessary. And they just happened to be so fucking good that he could cut from the outside of a ship all the way to a main artery chamber, which leads to the bridge of a warship in a single cut. Like, how does that even work? This guy managed to, in a single cut through kilometers of warship precisely enough and with such speed and ferocity that it caused a vacuum that was so strong and so sudden it caught two cataphracti terminators off guard and sucked them into the void. How does that work? How does that make sense? There is just such a massive leap in logic there that not even Nikona Shuriken's own jump pack could carry him across it. I don't get it. Okay, impassioned rant about Nikona Shuriken over. Doyle, I'd highly recommend you read the very first 3 books of the Horus Heresy in order, and then from there, look at the legions you find an interest in. And we're out of fuel. How did shitty anime plot sneak into the Horus Heresy? It's a multi-book saga. Nikona Shuriken is basically just every edgy, not very talkative anime overpowered companion character ever. He is basically just Captain Levi from Attack on Titan, effectively, with absolutely no reason to be there. Right, so that's Horus Rising, False Gods, Galaxy in Flames, yes. Flight of the Eisenstein is a good book as well if you're interested in the Death Guard. But yeah, I'd highly recommend reading those 3 books because it really helps set up the entire setting overall. And then from there, look at the legions that you're interested in and follow the books related to their story arcs. Now, I'm going to take this as an opportunity to change car. So, that's a question. Is there a particular car you guys would like to see me drive? Because the chances are I have a mod for it. And please make it a relatively serious suggestion. Oh, if you like, if you want to read more about Istvan 3, then on top of those 3 books, you also want to read the book Fulgrim. See, I knew someone would say Robin Reliant, which is why I said try and make it sensible. I'm gonna have to check though, do I have a Reliant? I know there is a mod for one, but no. Yeah, Camaro. Apparently all I have is Corvettes for Chevy. Which is interesting. I have the ZR1 Chevy and I also have the C7R Corvette as well. Lamborghini, I have a lot of Lamborghinis because, well, as this game is an Italian game, there are a lot of Lamborghinis. So you have the Aventador, the Countach, the Gallardo, the Huracan, the Moira, and the Sesto Elemento. Kind of surprised no one suggested the car from Initial D yet. I would have thought that would have been higher up there. So, hold on. I read a list of the Lamborghinis I have access to, and then you choose one I don't have access to. God damn it, Byron. I could always look for. You know, that's sorry, there's not anything on screen. I am going to, for the sake of it, let's see if I can find a Diablo. Okay. Again. So annoying. I know it won't let me sign it. Okay. Well, you might be in luck. Okay, no, it's just being pissy. What I'll do is if I just share my screen for a moment. Boom, hello. Right. Is yeah, this list I'm scrolling through all the different cars I have. I feel like the Countach would be a fun car. Just how iconic it is. I do have more modern Lamborghinis as well. Oh, and the Miura or Moira, or however you meant to pronounce it. Do either of those two sound good? As if not, we could have a look at Koenigsegg cars as well. Oh, and yeah, to go back to 40k for a second, the the book, well, the short story Reflection Cracked is not worth reading. Well, I think the most obnoxious is the yellow, I guess. I'll go with that. Try and force the rain to be... Oh, rain. And it is 1:54, so let's set the time as well. If Varric wins the lottery, I hope, or Lupicat does, I hope Val gets a yellow lamp with an Imperial Fist symbol on it. Yeah. It's the one which they wrote because they basically Game of Thrones logic. They kinda forgot they left Fulgrim possessed by the demon and therefore would not be able to ascend to demonhood in himself. So he just kind of half-assed a story which did neither the demon nor Fulgrim any help or any satisfaction. There we go. Hey, I really feel like this car fits with the style of music we're listening to in this context. I just love the derpy lights as well. You have no idea how difficult it is to drive like this. I hate why they made a traitor so likeable before it fell, because yeah, it's meant to be tragic. Especially with how preventable. A Knight Rider kit car would be awesome. Hey look, there's a train. Hello, train. Okay, this car's a bit difficult to drive. Right, I'm calling it a night. Have a good one. Or have a, yeah, sleep well, Hamish. I hope you have a great night, and I'll catch you tomorrow, because I will be streaming tomorrow. So yeah, have a good one, Hamish. So vast in each book. Amy's my favourite Legion's Primarch. Doyle, you need to talk to Hollowed Destruction on the Discord server. They have some very strong opinions about how Mortarians handled both good and bad. Oh wow. Okay, this is a supercar that wants to kill you. Okay, I mean, it is a car from the 60s, isn't it? So I should really expect that. I suppose that's a question for you guys. We're starting to get into dangerous territories with this, and I know it's starting to sound a bit like a slippery slope, but how would you guys feel about virtual reality streams? So, in effect, becoming a VTuber. How do you guys feel about me doing that? And yeah, Doyle, I think you got it perfect. That's how I feel like he's meant to be. However, the authors just don't know how to write characters like that. I really wish they just killed out. I really wish they killed off Eidolon and left him dead, to be perfectly honest. I feel like his life just amounting to nothing but to Wow, you guys are very interested in that idea. But yeah, the idea would probably be along the lines of some kind of tech priest, probably. I have a fun little avatar of a Skitari which I normally use. The only downside is I would need to buy a new microphone if I were to do any VTuber VR chat style streams. But yeah, one of the main ways I actually play this game is in virtual reality. Whilst my driving may not necessarily depict it, I actually normally do a lot of simulation racing in this game. Mostly in the Skip Barber Cup series. And I might stream some actual races at some point, but obviously I can't talk during then, really, because I will be focused on racing, but that's something I have been toying with, depending on like if you guys like watching me drive. Oh god, I hate this car. No, we're not doing this car. I hate this car with a burning passion, I'm sorry. This car sucks. But yeah, what we'll do is something slightly different. I completely agree. Fulgrim, killing Eidolon was a great moment and should have stayed dead. As yeah, the thing I really liked about how Eidolon died was it was just such a meaningless death. It was just Fulgrim lashing out in anger, not even really considering or thinking about it. He just killed him because Eidolon dared interrupt him. That's it. That's all. Eidolon, the guy who was seeking perfection and fame and glory, his entire character and personality motive was to drive himself forward and to elevate himself. And the fact that he just got snuffed out like that, so undignified and so pathetically, was, I think, honestly a perfect resolution to his character. And yeah, as silly as this car looks, let's find a good view. This is what I normally actually do at any serious racing game, is this car. It's a baby Formula style car, which is used in America to train and learn how to drive Indy cars with. One had to dab on for white scars first, Captain, and put the Phoenix Conclave together. As long as we ignore Judas' case, we're not doing much of anything. Yeah, I wish they remembered Caseron existed, honestly. Because he just is kind of thing. I went, oh, suddenly he's a demon prince. I was like, wait, what? Yeah, the only, like, so two things with doing VR chat stuff, to briefly go back to that, I would need a new microphone because the one I've got is a fixed position microphone, and obviously if I'm standing up walking around in virtual reality, then I can't exactly talk to you guys properly. And the second thing is I would actually need moderators to moderate chat, because if I'm, well, in virtual reality I'm not really able to be at my keyboard and monitoring chat properly. So if anything did happen, then I wouldn't be able to resolve it, which is a bit of an issue. Because right now it's relatively easy for me to just hop over into YouTube and just time out people, and Nightbot does a very good job of being a brutal dictator of moderator. Well, yeah, VR chat again, because that's the last message I can see. So I'm assuming no one's said anything since then. I feel like it would be a fun medium to experiment with, especially as it is becoming so popular these days. And I feel like it's a very, very small, minor niche, isn't it, of Warhammer VTuber. And I think it would be a very fun and easy, like, niche for me to fill. And I think it would be a lot of fun as well, because, again, it's like, I feel like a lot of my channel is going to be, already is, about dismissing some of, like, the fears and, like, misconceptions about stuff. And just, like, really showing you guys how I enjoy the things other people don't. And it's like, I mean, right now you guys are sat here watching me or listening to me drive a car, listening to my preferred style of music, and just listening to me talk. Earlier, we did an entire stream focused around painting with oil paints and enamels. Again, something which Warhammer people tend to be kind of scared of. and try to avoid. And in terms of the content I'm actually putting on my channel, and like with the dedicated videos I'm making, the ones which I'm doing is about trying to get people into the Horus Heresy, which again is a setting most people aren't necessarily interested into. But I want to, you know, use my platform as an opportunity to show why I love those things and really enjoy them. Believe it or not, my friends who are slightly into the idea of Warhammer are fully on board with the heresy. Yeah, it's... And I guess, like, to a degree, that kind of proves my point. And kind of highlights what I'm really going for with my stuff, because I feel like it is such a fun setting. And the video which I'm currently working on, episode 2 of Mastering the Legion, is more of a true episode 1 to the series, and it goes over like how I want to treat the heresy, well, how I perceive the Horus Heresy as a hobby and a setting, and how I think is best to enjoy it, because I feel like so many people miss that when they try to sell people on the hobby and the setting. Funnily enough, as we're listening to Arbiter Ian's theme music, he's one of the content creators I do really look up to and kind of seek inspiration from. And I really enjoy how he goes about talking about the setting and the various topics, especially ones that are less talked about and less known about as well. I think he does a really good job at it. And yeah, I think he does just a very, very good job of trying to introduce people to more aspects to the hobby than just a 40k tabletop, which I feel so many people are just caught on and don't really think much more about. And then when it comes to being introduced to new stuff, they we're keeping model and channel related art legally distinct enough to avoid GW fuckery if you're... Yeah, no, as you probably noticed, my profile pictures and stuff I use are very distinct from Warhammer as it is, and I'm probably not going to deviate too far away from that. The little figure of me, which is my YouTube icon, is probably going to stay in some form. I may redraw it so I'm wearing power armor, but yeah, my own brand imagery stuff is going to stay relatively free of Warhammer stuff, because I don't feel like I need to model my entire personality and design aesthetic around Warhammer in order to do Warhammer content. It's political leaning content. I'm assuming you mean about inclusivity and stuff. I was like, I'm not really aware of much of political content Ian does. Yeah, I think he's rather sincere about it. Yeah, if that's what you think, then, you know, that's fine. But yeah. And even then, there's, I suppose, an entire topic we can have about virtue signaling and stuff. Yeah, I overall like his stuff, and I think he does have some pretty good points. Your very existence doesn't revolve around Warhammer? Are you saying you don't wake up every morning in ultramarine pajamas? And smell Tyranid scented candles? Okay, no need to call me out, but I do have an Emperor's Children mug, which is basically the only thing I drink coffee out of. And I do normally wear Warhammer t-shirts. I have a Horus Heresy branded one and a Red Scorpions branded one. If I'm not wearing those, I'm probably wearing a Battletech t-shirt. But yeah, no. I don't feel like my channel needs to be blatant and obviously Warhammer if all the content on it is basically just Warhammer. I'd rather focus on maintaining and upkeeping my own brand identity, I guess. To go, I guess, businessy. I am Tuppy, and my content is my own. If it's about Warhammer, it's about Warhammer. A lot of it is going to be about Warhammer, but I don't feel like I need to prefix my name with like Chapter Master, or in the case of Ian, Arbiter, or something like that, or I don't need to, well, I guess Arch Warhammer. I don't feel like I need to do that. And yeah, I guess Tuppy, just as a name, is unique enough, and if people say, oh yeah, I watch Tuppy's content, or just mention my name, it's a pretty unique name at this point. There's a fictional character I'm aware of called Tuppy, from books from the 1800s. But otherwise it's a pretty unique name, and I don't feel like I need to flavour or change it up too much. And on certain platforms I'm still known as Tuppy the Ducky, due to my I guess recognition as being the guy who made the AMX-40 in World of Tanks, the Duck Tank, a meme and popular. Yeah, that's fair, Doyle. I mean, everyone's seen all of the images of and GIFs of armies of ducks running towards stuff, right? You've all seen the GIFs, like the release for Quacken GIF of like thousands of ducks being released from a shed and they all pour out at very fast speeds. And it's basically how Space Marine Legions fight, so you know, it's consistent. And yeah, it's another thing with going for Warhammer branded imagery and stuff, like Chapter Master Varak or Arbiter Ian, or someone with Warhammer in my name, or 40k theories. What if I'm doing content like this, right? I'm currently driving a Formula-style car around Tokyo, listening to synthwave music. There's nothing really Warhammer about this. So having a Warhammer name just doesn't make sense, and this is something I'm enjoying, you guys seem to be enjoying, so it's something I might do a bit more often. And what if I'm just doing a VR chat kind of hangout, like a regular VTuber, and just sat in the just talking category, right? And the Warhammer name doesn't really make sense either. VTuber Duck, where have I seen this before? Okay, so so I think I know what you're talking about. I'm not too dialed in or with it when it comes to VTubers, but it's the Sayori, isn't it? The girl with the duck with the gif from Heya. I'm aware of that. Oh no, it's not Sayori, is it? I can't remember, but... Sayori is a French one, isn't it? I can't remember. Oh no, it's Subaru. That's the name. The VTuber with the duck is Subaru. That's the one I'm thinking of. Oh, I took that corner far too wide. Yeah, I'm not sure I'd be... how far I'd go with the whole full VTuber thing. Because I think it would be funny and kind of interesting just to see how far I could survive, I guess. Just end my career by becoming a 40k VTuber. And just swamped in hate. So I think it would be kind of funny to do, purely just because of how much noise it would make about there being a 40k VTuber. Oh god. Yeah. I was there the day Tuppy became a 40k VTuber, he would say. You know what would be really funny as well if I did fully send it on that, just to like really like be as controversial as possible. And God, I'm even allergic to the stupidity of my own ideas. If I did it in like if I got a 3D model of me in Fire Warrior armor or something, and just be a Tau VTuber. Although I think if I were to do the whole, like, fully send it as a VTuber, I probably would go down the Tech Priest route. Just because I feel like that would be the most fun and most interesting direction to take the whole VTuber concept. Um, well, yes, I'm not sure how far I'd go. But I probably wouldn't have a female avatar. I probably wouldn't go that far. Especially as my personal preference for tech priests is for them to be entirely genderless, because it is illogical to waste data transmissions on gender and pronouns and all of that nonsense. That's the level of tech priest I personally prefer. So if I were to go down that route, I'd probably go that direction. Although I feel like just so I could actually, you know, sit down and talk with you guys, but as a virtual avatar, I probably would end up with an anime-looking character anyway in a VTuber variety, just so you could actually see my mouth move, and for me to be able to actually have some expressions. I need to find... yeah, it's very much just fresh ideas that I'm coming up with on the spot here, so I don't know, I don't really have any plans for it. But it's something I could do, and if you guys would be interested in seeing how that plays out, then I would go for it. But yeah. I mean, my character in most things normally has steampunk goggles, so yeah. Well, I mean, my actual avatar on YouTube and Discord has goggles, so I'm good. I was reading chat. God damn. Anytime I hear that, I think of the piece of Blanchard where he gave that mechanical mass and all that for whatever reason. Yeah, it's yeah, sorry, Vertical. It's the only real criticism I have with Blanche, and well, I'm gonna start to wind down here. Let's go to the Shrike head. But yeah, it's one of the issues I have with Blanche's artwork is how needlessly sexualized half of it is. It's like it seems like he's only able to ever draw women as very, very sexual, curvy things, which is a little bit annoying, especially when he goes over the top. And yeah, of course, Doyle. Sorry, that has a time marker in it, but Oh, and hey, Soren. Yeah, good to see you're still awake and or up. Yeah. Yeah, Blanche's work is absolutely iconic and I love it, but he does have a problem with drawing women as anything other than very sexual beings, which is a shame. But yeah, it's not any reason to get angry or upset about. And I certainly won't be. It's 9:30 there. Nice. It's 2:40 in the morning here in the UK. And I assume you may have been sleeping because that's what Hamish did earlier during the afternoon for us, so... yeah. Right. I'm starting to feel my throat go a little bit, so I'm going to start to wrap up the stream now. Because again, I'll be streaming tomorrow, and we'll be working more on the night. We need to paint all the black panels on, and we'll have a very lovely time going needlessly into depth into medieval iconography and patterns. Because I like to do things properly, in the pursuit of perfection, as a true son of Fulgrim, and as one of the Emperor's children. So yeah, we will actually be using historical books to go through and work out what kind of iconography and symbols we should be putting on our knight based off real world examples and logic. And I think that's going to be a very fun stream, and I'm really looking forward to it, so much so that I can't sleep. And well, I'm streaming again. No worries, Byron. So yeah, tomorrow's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of masking tape and a lot of cutting, I think, as we try and mask out all the patterns. And yeah, as you guys seem kind of receptive to at least the very idea of a VTuber Tuppy, I might actually look into that, even if it is just a one-off joke thing. I think it could be a bit fun. And yeah, I hope so as well. I really enjoy hanging out with you guys a bunch. You're all amazing people, and you really do make doing this worthwhile. So, as always, time to do the obligatory shilling. So, if you enjoyed this stream and you're on YouTube, remember to hit like if you enjoyed it and dislike if you didn't. Like genuinely, like pressing like or dislike does help me a lot, especially as we're starting to get going with all of this, as it helps indicate to me whether or not you actually like what I'm doing on those streams and if I need to change anything. And yeah, if you want to financially support this and help me get better equipment to do this a bit better, then you can always support me on Ko-fi or on Patreon. And yeah, if you aren't already, head over to a Discord server and join in over there. At the moment it's a little quiet, but we are building up, and if you are a Patreon supporter or if you donate to me via Ko-fi, you do get special access to certain parts of the Discord server as well. And if you're on Patreon, you also get access to STL files. So for the custom helmet design I have, which is based off the one in the artwork in the background of this stream at the moment. If you'd like that helmet design, which you can see on my Emperor's Children, then you get that through my Patreon. So with that, I'm going to dump the link into the chats for my link tree, which has all of those in. And then we're going to call it a night. So let me just open up Twitch for a moment. So yeah, again, thank you guys for watching. I'm gonna try and get some sleep now. and I will catch you all tomorrow.